I have a lot of mechanical pencils, I think. This entire bin is dedicated to mechanical pencils. I have all types of stuff in here. I enjoy these pencils. I use them not that much because I can't carry them all with me when I go to work, when I go wherever. I've sort of picked a few items that I use consistently because they offer the features that I need. I have them in this pouch. And this is what I legitimately carry with me every day to do any writing that I need. We'll start with the bag. This is the Act from Lihit Lab in black. It's about the size of a contemporary smartphone, and it has one zipper. I like it because it's pretty thin, and it's relatively small, but it fits quite a lot in it. Now, we'll start with the accessory items here. First off is my notepad of choice. This is also from Lihit Lab. This is part of their Aqua Drops, the Twist Note, and they have different sizes, and they have some like B5 full-size notebook varieties. I have some actually, but this is what I carry most often because it fits very well in pants pocket, a shirt pocket, alongside one writing instrument. So it's really convenient to take with me wherever I go. As someone who works in an office, but also outside, sometimes it's really nice to have something that you can take with you anywhere, versus like a big binder or other sort of stationery. So why I use this versus, say, Write in the Rain notebooks or field notes, those are nice, but those are a lot more expensive, and you basically throw out the whole thing once it's filled up. Some people collect them or maintain them, archive them. I don't have that necessarily for this stuff unless there's like drawings. But for just general purpose notes, rarely do I find a need to do that. Instead, what I prefer is just to refill the notebook, which this is one such notebook that you can refill. And this kind of explains it. You basically take the notebook and you sort of pull it. There we go. You pull it apart, and then the rings open up, and then you can slot sheets in. Another benefit to these refillable styles is you can put, obviously, refillable paper, but you can put whatever paper you want. So if you prefer smooth paper or textured paper, thick paper, thin paper, something with a grid, dot grid, lined, blank, you can do that really easily with just one notebook. Another benefit to this kind of style versus the ones that are just normally bound, if you write something and you want to take that sheet and move it elsewhere, you can just, as with the binder, undo it, take that sheet out, put it in the correct position, and then reseat it. The only issue you might have is the binding used for this notebook. It's this kind of, they call it international standard with a 1/3 inch pitch. So it's not what you would see in the US, for instance. They make hole punchers for this. I have one. It's a little pricey, but if you're using a lot of these, then I could see the value. Otherwise, you can just make sure you match the pitch and use a standard hole punch. So there's that. But these are really nice, so I highly recommend these. Next up, minor item, the Tombo Mono. This is the medium size in black. It's a plastic eraser. My favorite is actually Prismacolor's Art Gum erasers, but they're a little too crumbly to hold for portable use. I really only use it at the desk, but portable, this is what I have stuck with for a while. So these are pretty good, not too expensive, and easy to find even in the US. So these are nice. Have some graphite with me at all times. Since I'm usually using 0.5, this is what I usually carry. This is from Pentel, the Einstein family, and this is just standard HB. I like this graphite because it's pretty durable, and it produces a pretty smooth dark line. This is what I use on a day-to-day basis, unless I'm using 0.2, which brings me to this pencil. In 0.2, I use Pentel Einstein 2B. But this is oh, not this one actually. Technically, this one. They're the same pencil, but this is the Pentel Orenz Nero. I've had this pencil for a long time. I bought it back in college, and really great for taking fine notes. This is 0.2 millimeter, and really fine notes. If you've ever had to write all your cheat sheet notes on an index card, something like this helps a lot. But these days, I don't need cheat sheets. I usually utilize this pencil for taking really fine details, like on technical drawings. It's 0.2 is very nice for that, and it's also easy to erase, so it's kind of nice in that aspect too. Yeah, the Orenz Nero, we'll talk a little bit more with this other one here. This is the 0.5, which I bought somewhat more recently, and really for the 0.2, the benefit of the mechanism is it doesn't break the graphite, I find, as often as the standard Orenz, which is just a sliding sleeve variety. This one, auto feeding, I find it does a really good job preventing lead or the graphite from breaking. So here on the 0.5, less benefit. 0.5 is pretty durable, but I find because it's an auto feeder, it's really great to take notes with. The body itself, I find it's pretty lightweight, it's comfortable, durable, I enjoy it. It's like a plastic with some particulate in it. I don't know if it's metal fill, but it's nice. If you really like it, this is pretty nice. And there aren't as many auto feeders as there used to be, although I've been out of touch a little bit with the mechanical pencil market recently. But this one I use mainly if I'm at like seminars or in like really long meetings, multi-day meetings where you're kind of just taking notes over and over again. This just reduces having to click your pencil as often. Not wholly necessary, but it's fun to have. Next up is my pen of choice. I'm a big fountain pen lover. I don't actually have as many fountain pens as I do mechanical pencils, but they're nice to write with. They just require maybe more maintenance than I'm willing to give them because I frankly don't use pen all that often. And so plenty of times I've come back after a few weeks, few months, try to use my fountain pen and the ink reservoir is dry. Stuff like that is kind of frustrating. So because of how infrequently I use them, I just get a regular pen for this sort of application. This is the Zebra Blend in gray. This is specifically a 0.5 refill on the inside, and these are marked. Now, I tried to look for these recently, and I don't think they're sold anymore. I don't know what happened there, but they're not as easy to find as they used to be anyway. But the main shtick of this pencil, it's just a really clean body, nothing too crazy in terms of colors and texture. It's just plain. It has a rubber grip section on the bottom, but it rounds really nicely. It has a weight, so it's really well balanced, and it has a relatively smooth click. I'll play it for you. It doesn't have like that sharp note that you often hear with retractable pens. It kind of is a smooth action, and it's meant to be a little bit quieter. So it's dampened, basically. It can still be distracting, but less so. But it's just a really well designed pen. The pen clip is awful, but I don't use it for that, so that's fine. But it's a good pencil or a pen. I use it mainly if I have to like sign documents and they want pen, then I use this. Otherwise, I use pencil, which next up is the pencil I use most frequently, and that is the Rotring 800. And this pencil gets a lot of polarizing perspectives. Some people really like the pencil. Some people even say it's the best mechanical pencil. And then you have, on the flip side, people who disagree with that. For me, I don't know if it's necessarily the best, but it is definitely amongst my favorite mechanical pencils, and it's certainly the mechanical pencil I use the most frequently. For me, the biggest use of it is the retractable sleeve. I just like the mechanism that it utilizes. I plan to do a video showing all the retracting sleeve mechanical pencils that I have, because These days, unlike when I was a student, um, I carry this and my notepad in my pocket a lot. So having a retractable sleeve is really important. And I've tried a bunch. Some are fantastic. And trust me, you don't need a 600 if that's the feature you're looking for, or a 800, excuse me. Um, there are a lot of great options out there, and some are probably arguably better, even taking value out of the equation. But I just like the way this looks. I like the way it feels. It just does a lot for me. So I write with it. I like it. The main critique of this pencil, aside from the price, especially full price, it's like $60. And then even on like Amazon gray market sites, it's like $30, $40. So it's a little bit pricey. It's not for everybody. But this is even going to be hard to demonstrate. I'll try and zoom in a little bit. But the main issue that the people cite with this pencil is the tip or the sleeve wobble. And I'm trying to demonstrate that here. It moves a little bit. Granted, there's probably some manufacturing tolerances where some are worse than others. There's some hacks or retrofits where you put like a piece of tape and that increases the diameter of this outer sleeve, and so it seats a little bit better. I haven't done it because I don't have a need for it. It doesn't really have a big impact from a tactile experience, how it feels to write with it, and then also precision wise, I see no difference versus a fixed sleeve. And in fact, I have a 600. I've never used it because I don't like how it does anything compared to this. This pencil I enjoy writing with a lot. I can't explain it. It's probably a bit of bias. It's more expensive and it's the 800 and it has a retractable sleeve, but legitimately to me, I enjoy this pencil a lot and it offers the features I need. Like it has a great metal clip. The other aspect, it'd be a little hard to see, but I've actually bent this pencil because a very common thing that I do is have a pencil in my back pocket and I'll sit down on something. And some pencils, particularly plastic ones, fail very quickly at this. This being aluminum, which is a downside to some people, for me, not such, it has handled it very well. So for me, that's really important, just how durable the pencil is. This is pretty durable in my perspective, my use. Like the knurled section, I wouldn't say perfect, but it's pretty good for kind of balance of texture, and the other side of things, smoothness, because if you have it in a pants pocket, shirt pocket, you don't want it getting caught on all the fibers and ripping your shirt, or at the very least just being difficult to pull out of your pocket. So this I'd say is a good kind of middle ground for that. So yeah, this is my like most used pencil. I won't say favorite, but most used pencil for sure. And again, just putting it all away. This is what I carry with me every day in my bag or in my pocket, or at least some of these items in my pocket. So I have a lot more pencils and pens, as you've seen, but yeah, this is what gets it done for me. And I guess this is sort of a video to say that what you like is probably not necessarily what you need. And likewise, when it comes to stationery, you don't need, more than really a few writing instruments, maybe a few mechanical pencils, especially if you need a variety of sizes. Pens, if you need different colors, sure, but you really don't need that many. And you should try to find items that kind of meet all your needs and just stick with that. Don't try and find alternatives because there's so many. Just get what you want. Otherwise, you'll be like me and you'll buy a bunch of pencils. And some of them are great. Some of them are fabulous, and I enjoy writing with them. But you end up not using them, and they sit in a drawer. So just pick out stuff you really need. Save your money. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoy. Right on.